Hey folks, welcome back to our Dice Tower preview. I'm Mark, and today we're taking a look at Damnation, the Gothic Game. The Gothic Game is brought to you by Black Letter Games. It's for 2 to 6 players, ages 14 and up, and games generally run 30 to 60 minutes. Damnation, the Gothic Game, takes place in Count Dracula's castle. Here, a cast of villains from the Victorian era find themselves damned for all eternity. Each day, they are resurrected with no memory of where they are or how they arrived, finding themselves cursed to hunt and be hunted by one another for all eternity as punishment for the pain and suffering they inflicted in life. This is a gothic horror themed battle royale where the last survivor is declared the winner. During the game, each player will take control of a Victorian era inspired villain, each one with their own unique skills and play style. Players will take turns exploring the rooms of Dracula's castle in search of powerful cards that can be used to help them in their goal to survive. And there's some really interesting history around this game. It was first created in 1966, so the Gothic Game is possibly the oldest horror-based board game in existence. Prior to being mass-produced in 1992, people played the game using hand-drawn boards and cards. Despite only receiving a single print run in 92, the Gothic Game has become a cult classic and is still played by people all over the world. And now this new version features a new coat of paint and some polished rules. So let's dive into Dracula's castle. So first, let's take a look at this main board. This represents Dracula's castle. You've got a series of rooms with corridors and secret doors and of course traps that you'll have to avoid throughout the castle. Now, you're going to get one of these unscrupulous characters to play. They're all pretty terrible, all based again on the Victorian era villains, and you have several to choose from. You have the Wanderer, you have the Gentleman, you have the Mystic, you have the Collector, the Aristocrat, the Stranger, and of course, Count Dracula is in the castle as well. And they're all represented by these standees, which I like for this game because it is a throwback to the original old school type of game. And it has that feel for sure. And of course, your characters all have their own player board with their own traits that you can use throughout the game. You'll flip tokens over when you use these traits. You do have a passive trait, as well as your health marker that you'll be tracking. You'll be losing health quite frequently in this game, and you have your soul token. The soul token is what the other players are after for sure, because they can use the soul token in certain instances throughout the course of the game and inside the castle. And yes, this game does have player elimination, as it is a King of the Hill. It is a battle royale, but the games play very quickly and so forth. However, if you are knocked out, your health is reduced to 0, you're not totally out of the game. You can still haunt the other players and flip your player board to the other side, giving you a list of different actions you can perform when it is your turn. You can do all kinds of things here, from laying more traps to mucking with the decks when people are trying to get certain cards. Lots of interesting twists and turns and different possibilities that you can do with your haunting, which you can actually cause damage and bring a conclusion to the game much quicker. So, cards are key in this game. They're going to be augmenting all your abilities and all the things you're doing as you try to be king of the hill, so to say. Now, you're going to start the game with 3 heirloom cards. Each of the rooms, though, that you explore, most of the rooms anyway, have their own deck of cards that you're going to pull from and get special abilities and so forth. So there are really 5 different types of cards. You have events, you have actions, weapons, protection, and the vampire cards. Vampire cards are going to be directly related to Dracula when he's moving around the castle, but the others you'll be collecting and using. So event cards represent the random encounters as you explore the rooms of the castle. Events then should be revealed to all players and read out immediately. These action cards, though, are super flexible and can be used at various points of the game. And one of the examples from this heirloom deck that I pulled is a torn diary. So once you enter the master bedroom, this card will allow you to then go find the Holy Cross card, which is awesome because it protects you from the vampire when he's roaming the halls. And of course, you'll be finding weapon cards, which are generally used to initiate attacks and damage other players. All kinds of different weapons here with varying amounts of damage they can produce. And of course, to counteract weapon cards, there are protection cards, which can reduce the damage that you receive during the game. So then there are relics, which are hugely powerful cards, because unlike the other cards in the game, that once you use them, they're kind of one and done. Relics, though, are kept and not discarded after use. Fantastic. Now, all these cards are going to have some various icons on them. You've got your damage, how much damage it performs, what the range of the weapon is. If it is that, if you have to be 1, 2, 3, or however many spaces away, you have a reveal. So a reveal icon is strictly meant that you have to place your card face up in front of you for all to see. And then finally, there's an armor icon showing you just how much you can offset damage as it comes in. So those weapon and protection cards are going to be key. Gathering those, visiting rooms, and getting as many cards as you can. Now, you do have a hand limit of 6 that you have to discard down to at the end of your turn. Now, there is one other type of card. They're located at the top of the board. This is the death knell. Now, these are going to change up the rules of the game, and we'll take a look at these specifically when we get to that part. Now, we have the descent track, which is on the main board. And at the start of the game, you're going to hit the arrival point, which is really interesting because every player gets 4 consecutive turns. And it really is a jump start to exploring the castle and getting items and so forth. In this whole first part, you can't attack each other. It's all fairly friendly. It's all about gathering resources, so to say. And then we move to nightfall. Once we've done that, then each player goes in turn. And then the first player to get slain will trigger the descent, where you'll move to that part of the track, and every player's turn, every round, it starts to move that track down ever closer to the bottom, which is the fall. And every round of the fall, every player's turn and so forth, are going to take damage as that clock ticks ever closer to one player coming out on top. Now, through the course of the descent, you have these death knell cards that will be revealed, as well as when players get eliminated, these cards will be revealed. So they're going to, again, change up the rules of the game. They might do all kinds of various things, but they are going to add a lot of flavor, a lot of fun. And in the case of this one, we have the creature. Any players entering the moat area are going to be slain. So there are all kinds of ways in this game to be slain like immediately without taking just normal damage. So let's take a closer look at some of the rooms. And how do you get to these rooms? Well, you're moving through the corridors, and at the start of your turn, you're going to roll 2 dice. You have movement dice and you have a darkness dice. Movement, just like it sounds, you move that many spaces. Darkness, though, has 4 possible results. One is nothing at all, or you have a castle event, a card that you'll pull, or you're going to have a candlelight, which is a plus or minus to your roll, or you might simply get a darkness result, which means any trap that you pass over will trigger. Typically, traps only trigger when you land on them. And as you'd expect, these traps can do various things. Some of the traps will open up a trap door, send you to the moat. Another trap is a saw blade, which does 5 points of damage. There's even a trap that will just outright slay you, remove you from the game. Well, turn you into the ghost form anyway. And then finally, there are secret doors, and you'll see them already printed on the board, but any secret door can lead to any other secret door, giving you fast travel across the map. So again, as you're entering these rooms, you're going to be pulling a card from the top of the deck. Now, the special rooms though, the torture chamber. If you happen to pull the Iron Maiden card, you'll be slain immediately. Now, there's also a spiral staircase. If you're in this room, it's really a trap. You're moving ever closer to the bottom of the stairs, and if you reach the bottom, you are slain. However, you need to roll a 6 to get up and out of this particular trap. And then you have the Dark Tower. Now, it is very perilous to get into this room because there's so many traps. But in order to pull cards for this room, you have to spend souls. You can't spend your own soul. It has to be some that you've collected. But you get to draw 2 cards, pick one, and put the other at the bottom of the deck. So these special rooms really do a lot of interesting things. And the moat, if you fall through a trap door and you're in the moat, you're gonna have to roll against a chart to see if you're stuck there and you take damage, or you can actually get up and out of there. And then finally we have the vault. Let's take a look at the vampire. So if the vault has Dracula in it, you get to control him, but moving into this room will cause you 3 points of damage. And if there is no Dracula, no vampire in this room, then you get to draw the top card. However, taking control of the vampire and moving him throughout the castle is super powerful. Every time he comes in contact with another player, he bites them and slays them, just outright slays them. But to move him around the castle, you're rolling 2 dice and adding the values together. So he moves super swiftly through the castle. He has his own player board, his own set of cards. You're going to draw 3 cards. They're going to help you. You basically become the vampire. He does have a timer. He has 6 turns, basically, and as he bites other players, he'll get more time on that track. But as that time track counts down, and if he doesn't get back, if you don't get him back to the vault before the timer runs out, then you are slain. So it's super powerful to control Dracula, but it's also very, very dangerous. And of course, the most basic thing that perhaps you're doing on your turn is maneuvering yourself so you're in range of one of your fellow players at the table, and you're going to attack them with whatever weapon that you choose. Now remember, using that weapon, you're going to be discarding it after use, unless perhaps it's a relic. But the player has the opportunity to use as many protection cards as they happen to have in hand. And it's really just that simple. You compare values and deduct your health accordingly. And then of course the player that comes out on top, the last player standing, is going to win the game. All right, folks, just a reminder once again, this has been a Dice Tower paid preview, and everything you've seen here has been in prototype form, so keep a close eye on the campaign for any changes that still may occur. Now, one of the interesting things about this game as well is that if you move next to a fellow player on the board, if you end your turn there, then you have the power of adjacency, and you can dictate the direction that they move in on their turn. So again, lots of twists and turns in this game, lots of back and forth. It is definitely that feel of King of the Hill, and you're knocking each other down and out, and it's fast. It actually plays really fast as people start to get eliminated quickly. But again, these cards at the top are going to really change up the rules and escalate things in the game dramatically, as well as Dracula himself, the vampire. But folks, ultimately, if this looks like something that would be of interest to you, I'm sure they'd appreciate your support. So I think that's it from me, and until next time, we'll see you at the table.